What if intelligence does not guarantee belonging? What if the more clearly you think, the more isolated you become? In the bustling cities of 12th century Al-Andalus, where scholars debated faith, science, and philosophy under the shadow of political instability, one man reached a troubling conclusion. Society itself may be the greatest obstacle to wisdom. His name was Ibn Bajja, known to medieval Europe as Avempace. He was not only a philosopher, but also a physician, astronomer, mathematician, musician, and statesman. He served in royal courts, mastered Aristotle's logic, and influenced thinkers like Ibn Rushd, Averroes, and Maimonides. Yet despite his brilliance, Ibn Bajja lived much of his life as an outsider, misunderstood, criticized, and ultimately silenced. Unlike philosophers who imagined ideal societies, Ibn Bajja focused on a different question. How does a rational individual survive in an irrational world? His answer was radical for its time and unsettling even today. He argued that the truly wise person may need to live intellectually alone within society, not out of arrogance, not out of hatred for others, but out of commitment to truth. In his most famous work, The Governance of the Solitary, Ibn Bajja explored what happens when reason clashes with custom, when truth challenges authority, and when clarity threatens comfort. He believed that most societies are ruled by imitation, habit, and opinion, not by reason. And in such societies, the philosopher becomes a stranger. This belief made him controversial. Some accused him of elitism. Others feared his ideas undermined religious and political order. His death in 1138 in Fez was sudden and mysterious, with later sources suggesting poisoning. Yet his ideas refused to die. Today, in an age of constant noise, social pressure, and mass opinion, Ibn Bajja's voice feels strangely modern. He speaks to anyone who has ever felt out of place for thinking deeply, questioning authority, or refusing easy answers. In this video, we will explore 10 powerful sayings and ideas from Ibn Bajja. Reflections on intellect, solitude, freedom, and the courage to think independently. These are not merely historical ideas. They are tools for navigating the modern world. Let us begin. Human perfection is achieved through intellect, not imitation.
For Ibn Bajja, the highest purpose of human life was intellectual perfection. He believed that most people live by imitation. They follow customs, habits, and inherited opinions. Few ever stop to ask whether these beliefs are true. True fulfillment, he argued, comes when a person activates their intellect and seeks truth through reason. Modern relevance. In an age of trends, viral opinions, and social pressure, Ibn Bajja reminds us, thinking for yourself is not optional. It is essential.
The wise individual may be forced to live as a stranger among people.
One of Ibn Bajja's most famous and unsettling ideas is that the philosopher often becomes a stranger in society, not because they reject people, but because they reject falsehood. The more clearly one sees truth, the more distant one may feel from a society driven by illusion and conformity. Modern relevance. If you ever felt isolated for thinking differently, Ibn Bajja would say that discomfort may be the price of clarity.
Solitude is not isolation. It is protection of the intellect.
Ibn Bajja did not glorify loneliness. He glorified intellectual independence. In his famous work, The Governance of the Solitary, he explains that solitude means guarding the mind from corruption, limiting exposure to ignorance, choosing depth over noise. Modern relevance, solitude today may mean unplugging, filtering information, and choosing thoughtful silence over constant stimulation.
Most societies are governed by opinion, not truth.
According to Ibn Bajja, societies rarely operate on reason. Instead, they are driven by popular opinion, tradition, power, fear of questioning authority. The philosopher, therefore, cannot blindly obey society without sacrificing truth. Modern relevance, public opinion is louder than ever, but loudness is not wisdom.
Knowledge is not information. It is transformation.
According to Ibn Bajja, societies rarely operate on reason. Instead, they are driven by popular opinion, tradition, power, fear of questioning authority. The philosopher, therefore, cannot blindly obey society without sacrificing truth. Modern relevance, public opinion is louder than ever, but loudness is not wisdom.
The philosopher's loyalty is to truth, not authority.
Ibn Bajja lived under political and religious authorities, yet he believed no authority should override reason. This made him dangerous. He argued that power does not equal truth. Titles do not guarantee wisdom. Truth stands above rulers and institutions. Modern relevance, critical thinking is still the most powerful form of freedom.
The crowd resists those who rise above it intellectually.
Ibn Bajja observed that societies often resist their greatest thinkers. Why? Because independent thought challenges comfort, exposes contradiction, weakens control. This resistance may explain his marginalization and possibly his mysterious death. Modern relevance, progress has always been uncomfortable.
The perfected intellect connects the human to the universal.
At the highest level, Ibn Bajja believed the intellect transcends personal bias, aligns with universal reason, approaches true happiness. This was his vision of human excellence. Modern relevance, true fulfillment comes not from consumption, but from understanding.
Freedom begins in the mind.
For Ibn Bajja, freedom was not political first, it was intellectual. A person enslaved by false beliefs is never free. A person who thinks clearly cannot be fully controlled. Modern relevance, in a world competing for your attention, protecting your mind is an act of resistance.
Ibn Bajja did not leave behind monuments, armies, or empires. He left behind something far more dangerous: ideas. Ideas that challenged society's comfort with imitation. Ideas that placed truth above authority. Ideas that insisted that the human mind, when disciplined and free, is capable of reaching something higher than habit, fear, or power. He lived at a time when thinking independently came at a cost, and he paid that cost in isolation, controversy, and possibly even his life. Yet Ibn Bajja never argued that wisdom requires hatred of society. He argued that wisdom requires clarity. He believed that when a society is driven by noise rather than reason, the philosopher must protect their intellect, not through arrogance, but through discipline, not through withdrawal from humanity, but through loyalty to truth. Today, we live in a world louder than anything Ibn Bajja could have imagined. Opinions spread faster than understanding. Certainty is rewarded more than reflection, and conformity is often mistaken for belonging. In such a world, Ibn Bajja's message feels urgent. He reminds us that freedom is not granted by governments or institutions. It begins in the mind. That knowledge is not measured by how much we consume, but by how deeply we understand. That solitude, when chosen with purpose, can be a form of strength, and that the courage to think may be the highest form of virtue. Ibn Bajja was called a stranger in his time, but perhaps that is because he was speaking to the future. If these ideas resonated with you, then you are already continuing his legacy. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more journeys into the minds that shaped our world, not to give you answers, but to help you ask better questions. Because in the end, the most important governance is not of cities or states, but of the self.